Cheers. And we are live. It is Monday, August 15th. I had to look at my calendar. Like, what is today? Monday, August 15th, 2022. Today is 2 for 1 Joe Live, where we bring you the movie, TV, nerdy news that we think you might care about. Of course, my name is Donovan Thompson. And I'm joined here by our good friend and guest, Luke Irvin. And
Good morning, everyone.
yeah, and we got some good stuff today. It's a little lighter than it was last week, a little bit,
Hmm.
but also it's still some good nuggets, and we're kind of filling in some more of those gaps that kind of happened after Batgirl's imminent demise, so to speak.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and get into the box office here, Luke. So starting off the week, we have the top three. We have Bullet Train coming in at 13.4 million over the weekend. Now it's sitting at 114 million
Hmm.
worldwide, which is not bad. It's kind of tracking, actually, weirdly, coincidentally, with The Lost City, in
Hmm.
terms of its like week to week drop off and everything else. And that movie kind of ended up having like 110 million domestic final, I think.
Okay.
If that did that, that'd be pretty good. And um, I mean, I know you said you liked it, but you didn't love it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I still stand by that. It's definitely an entertaining and enjoyable watch. There's just a couple things I'd change on it, but yeah.
Yeah. See, I mean, I want another one. Like, I enjoyed it enough to, you know, I mean,
I would
any,
watch anything in this world. I think the biggest thing, I do think this was just a little bit too long. I think it drug on,
I could see
and
that.
I think that kind of hurt with the overall pacing. If they can fix the pacing issue, the characters and their stories and how they were written, I thought were top notch. Like
Okay.
really enjoyed that aspect of it. It's just the
Yeah.
pacing.
No, I see what you're saying there, and I kind of agree with you in a little bit. It's those kind of storytelling devices where they kind of jump back and forth and they're telling, like, filling in
Hmm.
gaps, and it's kind of like supposed to be. I mean, if you just take all those out, the story will probably be like a good 45 minutes less or 40 minutes left with like just present day narration versus all the flashback stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And that stuff can kind of drag things down sometimes.
Hmm.
But second place is DC League of Super Pets. I still haven't seen it yet. It is so far hit 109 million. It's kind of trailing right around the same place as the Good Guys earlier this year. I think this is kind of a loss personally for me. I mean, this is kind of, you have The
Hmm.
Rock and you have Kevin Hart, and they've been promoting the shit out of this. And it's, I mean, also it's Super Pets. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
sure we asked for this movie, you
I
know?
just discovered there is a Super Pets game for Nintendo Switch
Oh,
this
really? Like,
weekend.
is it like
Yeah.
a license game for the movie, or?
I don't know if it has anything to do with the film, with the movie. I haven't looked into that. I was gonna dig more into the game just to see if it's something like my kids would enjoy playing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you saw this, right? Correct?
I did go see this, yes.
And you liked it? I mean, I've asked you before, but
Um, not probably not as much as like Bullet Train. My biggest issue with
well,
Super
surely not.
Pets was I think there are certain jokes that I think went a little too far,
Oh,
especially
that's
for a
right.
kids movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you told me that. That's right. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna check it out. I don't know if this might be one of the few movies that I don't buy on the DC movies I don't buy on Blu-ray because it don't. It's not in live action. It doesn't feel like it's
Yeah.
part of the universe.
And I
So
would expect this would probably come to HBO Max like within what the next 2-3 months,
I just totally suspect that.
or like
Yeah.
at least by like holiday season. It should be.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I I agree with you. Third place, Top Gun finally fell out of the top five, I think, last week, but now it jumped back up into the top three. There actually may be, depending on the actual. Let's look at the actuals because there was kind of debate over the weekend. What would actually? Um, okay, it made $10,000 less than League of Super Pets, so it almost it
Oh my goodness.
almost got number two again this weekend, but it jumped back up into the top three, which is really cool. So now it is sitting. It made $7.2 million, which is just it made
Hmm.
more this weekend than it did last weekend. It had a 1.9 increase, I
Pretty
think.
pretty
It's
wild that like
it's wild.
bodies didn't even hit the list.
That's what I was fixing to ask you about. So real quick, yeah, Top Gun made 1.378 billion. It will hit 1.4 billion before it's all said and done. The movie is in, I think, will be in the top 10 of all time, if it's not already, and it's already like number three or four domestic of all time. or number two. It's like it's past Avatar, it's past Titanic. I think it's a like nipping at the heels of Endgame right now. So maybe it's top three of all time. So it's pretty impressive. Yeah, it's Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Have you seen it yet?
Did go see it.
Oh dang! So I was gonna be like, I saw a trailer for it and I was like, oh yeah, and I was like, I need to see if Luke wants to go watch that because I forgot about it. It's coming out. Is it? I heard it's really good.
It's something.
Oh,
It's something.
oh,
It's
okay.
yeah.
Never mind. I won't go watch it. I guess. I mean,
I mean,
that's
the
okay.
biggest thing, I don't know how much you want me to share.
I don't want spoilers for sure. I'm not a Here's the thing. I'm not a Pete Davidson fan. I'm just never been.
Yeah.
Never have been, and I think he
don't
might.
really
I think he might
get
fit that
his
world.
I don't really understand his point in it because I mean this is a movie about Gen Z and I wouldn't consider him Gen Z.
Gotcha.
And
Well,
and I yeah.
well, I feel like he's obviously there, so he could be on the poster. I mean, that's why.
Well,
Um,
once once you see it, I will share with you what I shared with Philip, and it's basically like what I consider the perfect way to explain the movie, and
Dang.
it's from a Friends episode.
Really? Okay. I do love Friends. Okay. Well, I may go
It's
watch
like
it. I just don't.
immediately the moment the movie ended, it's the first thing that popped in my head, and I was like, "Yep, that episode kind of nails this thing perfectly."
Wow. Okay. Well, I will look into that. So, Star Wars. Kind of going to breeze over some stuff here. So, Acolyte. We've been getting some, like a drip feed of news over the last couple of weeks here. One of the things now they're kind of saying is one of the things that I kind of hope for if we were dealing with the Rise of the Sith and the Old Republic era. It may involve Darth Plagueis' origin story. And if you don't know who Darth Plagueis is, we do get a little tidbit to his story in Episode 3 with Darth Sidious talking to Anakin. And, it's basically it was Palpatine's master, so to speak. And he's the one who potentially learned how to cheat death. And so he's like one of the the most popular Siths of all time in the canon, the extended canon, and he was someone that we really kind of hoped to might see in the sequel trilogy, but we end up getting Palpatine again for whatever reason. So anyway, I think that's a cool little tidbit. I mean, Acolyte is shaping up to be an interesting thing. I'm never typically a fan of prequels, just for the fact that they have to really tell you something you didn't know or really paint something in a way that it kind of repaints how you saw the original stuff in a way.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching Better Call Saul and I have 3 episodes left, including tonight's series finale, which I'm going to watch tomorrow night. So, like an episode a couple days ago, it's a prequel, right? We're running up to Breaking Bad, and there is some stuff that they revealed. I'm like, oh man, that is like it totally kind of when you rewatch Breaking Bad now, you'll be thinking about this little bitty information. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I haven't tonight. I waited like 6 months. I decided I want to binge the show and not watch them as they come out. So I was kind of waiting until this week. So like I just started last week watching it, the whole show, and now tonight I'm watching the episode Breaking Bad. So I watched Nippy last night with the first black and white episode, and then tonight I'm watching Breaking Bad, and then tomorrow is the finale.
Oh man.
So that's or tomorrow is Waterworks, which
And then
is
the
last
finale.
week's and the finale
Yeah.
because it kind of on Apple TV it comes out the day after, right? So I have to wait a whole day. If not, I'd be doing it tonight, but I have to wait
Yeah.
a day. So like just seeing and
How
spoilers
are you
everybody
watching it through Apple TV?
by
Are
this
you
by
not
the
watching-
season.
Oh, you're buying it?
I buy the seasons. Yeah, I buy the seasons every year when they come out, just so I have the season pass.
Sure.
And just knowing that Lalo and not Hank, Hamlin or whatever his name is, the lawyer guy, knowing that they're in the ground, the concrete of the room that Walter and Jesse are doing drugs in, that's pretty sick. And so when you're like, oh fuck, it's like that room's like haunted almost. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty
Like,
much, yeah.
yeah, and it's like that stuff like that. I'm like, God dang, that's so good. So I'm really curious to see how they. Granted, I haven't watched. I'm 2 episodes behind right now, but like I feel like the show kind of almost ended last week. I mean, because like we got or in the last episode because what I saw was him and last thing I saw in the main timeline was him and I can't think of her name right now.
Kim.
Him and Kim break up essentially. We saw a little taste of Saul Goodman, and now we're into the future with Gene, right? So we did the whole Cinnabon heist just now, and so the next episode
Buckle up, man.
is
Buckle up.
really. I'm really
Get
hoping
ready.
that something gets crazy because
Yeah, I'm caught up. So,
they kind of tied up all the loose ends. Like it feels like they could have just ended it already right then without tying the future stuff up and been like,
Yeah.
that's how we get to Breaking Bad. Like that was it.
Yeah.
Him and Kim broke up. Like that's it, really. You know. But I know that we're going to jump back in time a little bit, and I know there's some spoilers coming up in tonight's episode that I'm watching. There's some cameos that if fucking people on the internet just have to share screen grabs, and you're like, God damn it, people.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah, that's basically tonight, because I probably won't watch it until tomorrow morning. I don't know if I'll have time to watch it tonight. I do have AMC Plus, so I could try to get it tonight if I have time, but yeah, I gotta avoid internet.
Yeah, I am too. I think as of tomorrow, I'm dead until Tuesday night. But I've been planning on this for I've been playing the long con here for a long time, so to speak, just like Jimmy McGill. Okay, sorry everyone. That was Star Wars news. Now we're talking about Breaking Bad. It's what happened to me and Daniel the other day when we did our podcast on Prey. We ended up talking about Prey, and then we ended up talking about Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad for like 20 minutes. So I think we discussed we might do like a Breaking Bad overview of the whole how great the show is in a couple of weeks or months or so.
Definitely. Well, certainly going back to Star Wars. So is this going to be a film or a series?
It's a series. It's a prequel series. Okay. Yeah.
I definitely would be for it. I did recently. Boys were getting really into Star Wars, and we were watching some of the newer episodes of Clone Wars. I did a deep dive onto just the tree of Sith Lords.
Sure.
Because I wasn't really familiar with with some of their origin stories, and I mean, there's characters beyond like before Plagueis I would love to revisit, really the early days, what kind of kicked off the big feud between the Jedi and the Sith, and
there's Darth Bane. There's all kinds of
the creation of seeing the creation of the Rule of Two would just be
I think that
awesome.
They're trying to, and granted, I think there's the extended canon. I think they're trying to mold the creation of the Rule of Two into this show based on everything I've read. So I think that this will kind of involve some of that kind of stuff. So they're not adhering to the original or the extended canon, So I think they're kind of cherry picking things they like.
Yeah.
We are running out of time. We took too long. Or I took too long going over Breaking Bad. So real quick, we'll burn through these. Disney Plus is raising their prices. I expected that. There was just no way out of the gate. What was it, $5.99, $6.99 for all that content? It was just always a numbers game. They're going to get people in. Sure. They're going to keep them, and then they're get you addicted. And they have your kids love Disney Plus, and then they're going to be like, hey, we're going to jack up the prices. There is a new news report running around. Everyone's running out with Disney now has more subscribers than Netflix. And it's okay, they do if you add in Hulu, ESPN, and Disney Plus. I'm like, that don't feel fair to me. It is. Yes, Disney does have more subscribers, but it's also it's on across 3 different platforms. Yeah. And that it's a little cheating.
Still,
Disney.
Netflix has been more misses lately than hits.
Yes, but also nothing has. Me and Daniel talked about this not too long ago. Netflix has the ability to once a year come out and just fucking have a Hail Mary and be the talk of the town for 4 months. I mean, Stranger Things season 4,
there's still
nothing.
People talking Stranger Things
never. I was there over the weekend with my mom, and my mom was talking about it, and I mean, it's Disney hasn't made stuff like that's as big. Now, Mandalorian's big, but it's not as big as Stranger Things. It's just not.
Right, and plus they've got Knives Out, the sequel coming, so
they've got all kinds of. I mean, they're always in the works and stuff. I haven't watched Day Shift yet. Matt texted me last night.
Watch that this weekend.
Really? He said he liked it. He said it was probably his favorite Netflix movie. Well, he isn't saying much. Netflix kind of has not the greatest movies.
It's a fun watch.
Yeah, I actually like The Gray Man, except the ending. I just got a text just now. Someone literally talking about The Gray Man. Weirdly. So, okay, real quick. Oscar Isaac on returning as Poe. He said, I don't know. I'm open to anything. You never know. I have no real feeling one way or the other. I'm open to any kind of good story, any good thing to do. time's the one thing that becomes much more challenging as you get older, and with kids and all that, it's like, where do these things fit in? And you start realizing that there's not enough time for all of it. He went also on to say that it's a good director and a good story. He would love to come back and do it. I think it's possible. I mean, again,
Yeah.
you know, do I need it? No. Will I watch it? Yeah. I mean, he's
Same.
well, he's one of my favorite things about the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
He's Oscar Isaac. He's just a fantastic actor.
Yeah, big fan of his, so I'm in the same boat. Like, if it didn't happen, I'm totally okay with it, and it's tough. Like, I get that perspective where he's at. Like, he's he's Moon Knight, he's Poe, like he's in Dune. I'm really hoping we get the Metal Gear Solid film with him. Like,
God damn, I forgot about that movie.
You gotta like choose, right? You get into this position where it's like, what do I really want to do?
That's the movie I want to direct.
That's yeah.
Metal Gear Solid, baby. That's one.
Yep.
Man, that's the thing. They're gonna fuck it up, aren't they? God damn it.
Let's not get into that. Last Star Wars.
How do you not fuck that? I mean, like,
yeah.
I mean, once you get into 4, it's like there's no, like, you're going to have novels and like comic books to fill in all the gaps. But like, I mean, it's possible, of course. But anyway, I can't wait to talk about that movie. Go on, Luke. Sorry.
No, I had a Star Wars question before we kind of move over to Marvel. I haven't looked to see if we're getting this, but do you know if Arkansas is getting the Rogue One IMAX re-release?
I looked into it. I don't think we are. But I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong. I think it's getting additional footage from Andor in it.
It is, yeah.
Which I don't know what does that mean? Like, are they going to?
I'm not really sure what that means. I don't know if it's going to be like if it's actually within the movie itself, or is it just going to be like post credit. Here's an extended look at Andor. I don't know.
I loved watching Rogue One. I mean, that was fantastic.
I would love to go see it in IMAX.
Yeah, I never saw it in IMAX, actually. Man, it still to this day has the best dogfights in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that'd be sick.
It would be sick.
Fingers crossed.
Too many things are coming out. I'm too busy. Yeah. Dragon Ball Super comes out this week, and then
I'm gonna try to go see that. I was gonna try to work through Super this week. I don't have really much context with Dragon Ball Super, so I was gonna try to watch through the series.
Good luck, dude. There's a lot of epissodes.
I know there's a lot.
I've seen the first 30 and like the last 20, so
okay.
I haven't seen the middle section of it.
Gotcha.
Arguably the best section too, but I haven't seen it. It's okay. I mean, the movies are better than the shows for sure. The last few movies, I really did like Brawley a lot when it came out.
Okay.
The last movie, I think. So let's go hop over to Marvel real quick. So the studio failed to, we've kind of talked about this like a couple months ago. The studio failed to notify the VFX artists that they'd moved Endgame's release date a whole month up, which is kind of wild. It's like they walk in one day and they're like, hey, Endgame comes out in a month. They're like, no, it comes out in 2 months. They're like, no, it's a month, which is crazy in terms of just production in general, but it's even more crazy when you're talking about VFX artists who have a pipeline, a deadline, and I can't imagine doing the VFX for these movies because they're not. Yes, they're making these movies with VFX in mind, but they're not making them VFX friendly. Like they're just kind of like shooting and they're reshooting and they're changing their mind constantly. And it's never like it's always the thing like, oh, we can do anything because we have VFX, not let's have a plan. For the most part, let's have a plan and then have the VFX come in and work on that plan. And I can only it feels like more and more stories are coming out. People are talking out now, and we had some of the She-Hulk showrunners talk about how they support the VFX artist and everything else a couple weeks ago, which is kind of weird and cringy. But I don't know. I mean, I personally wish they would slow down a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Like, I also love getting my Marvel every week, but then I'm like, I don't want the quality to dip down. And there is things and I've seen obviously Thor: Love and Thunder, dip down. I feel like it's dipping down more in the movies than it is the TV shows, personally.
And that kind of weirdly. In a way, they're probably getting so many subscribers, and the series are fun and new, and they probably are enjoying doing those more than just pushing out all these films.
Yeah, I mean, the VFX for Spidey were pretty good. I mean, there's obviously moments, but
sure.
I mean, Spidey's obviously pretty good. Doctor Strange, there's some moments where
Oh man,
good
there's
and
some.
good in some areas, but there's also moments where like, oh, that's not the greatest,
Yeah.
And then Thor: Love and Thunder, I think, is the biggest
Hmm.
one so far, and mainly, but I'm not sure it's mainly the VFX. It's mainly the way they're shooting it, making it look more VFX heavy than it
Yeah.
actually is. Like just against green screen and two
Yeah.
people walking in place against a green screen. That feels
Right.
VFXy.
You
But
know, we still have Wakanda Forever, so hopefully,
and the trailer for that looked really good. I mean,
yeah.
and again, so I mean, it is what it is, and that comes
Hmm.
out relatively soon.
Yep.
So, moving on, Hulk rights may revert back to Marvel in 2023. I think this is something that you kind of touched upon not too long ago, and I was kind of like, no, it's never going to happen. So Universal has retained the rights since before 2003 when they had Ang Lee's Hulk, and then obviously we had the Incredible Hulk in 2009, I believe, and no, 2008. Sorry, it was the same year as Iron Man came out, 2008,
Hmm.
and there was always this weird, like, this is one of the things that in the last 10, 15 years I've always had to do research on and like do checks on, and there's more reports on, and it was kind of like, hey, the rights issue is kind of weird in the fact that Universal can co-sign and distribute a solo Hulk movie, but Marvel
Hmm.
does have the ability to do him as cameos or whatever. So that's how you got Hulk in the Avengers, how you got him in
Hmm.
Age of Ultron and Thor Ragnarok and all these other things. I am interested that She-Hulk somehow got a TV show, but maybe it's the thing. Maybe that they can do a movie, but they can't, or they can do a TV show but not a movie. Anyway, there's rumors going on that they might do like a World War Hulk movie
Hmm.
because of this. And kind of real quick, here's the blurb from this. Paramount shall have the rights to exercise its Paramount distribution rights with respect to each picture for an initial period of 15 years commencing on the initial theatrical exhibition of such picture. That's Paramount, and I think that's also applied to Universal in terms of the agreement. So anyway,
Gotcha.
it seems like we're almost getting close to that time period where next year Marvel has the ability
Mm.
to do a solo Hulk movie. Um, I don't know. It's interesting. It's also
Hmm.
one of those things too is that there is some like legality things where I don't think that people can work on the property
Mm.
like in advance without having like what I'm saying, like I don't know, it's like a writer writing um before he's actually paid to write, and then they're like, well, you can't actually use any of this stuff because you weren't being paid to do it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know yet what if this is just rumors that people are just getting excited or what, but it's possible to have a World War Hulk movie. I just also don't know if I don't know, maybe to end his tenure as the Hulk.
Yeah.
Again, we kind of got a little bit of that in Ragnarok, but also the big thing is I don't know where it fits into the timeline of Secret Wars. Like now, it feels like we're kind of building up
Sure.
to that, and that kind of like that's
Sure.
going to pull us away a little bit of kind of like from the narrative like of Earth and Secret Wars and maybe not. I don't know. What do you think about it?
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of additional Hulk information that I've seen circulate over the past 24 hours. One World War Hulk that's floated around quite a bit. I, this is interesting. I'm curious to see what's going to, I guess, happen over the next year. I would love to see Disney just be able to get the full rights and can kind of do more with Hulk in that world and not have to go back and forth with this stuff and like who can distribute it and where does it going to stream and like let's just get it all to one platform.
It
Um,
is interesting. I mean, like where they're at with his story now. I mean,
it's
I'm not sure it was the greatest idea to have him become Smart Hulk off screen in between Infinity War and Endgame, but it does add that credence that it's been 5 years and that things have changed and that
yeah.
there's I get that
So
aspect of it.
the new thing I'm hearing is that his son will make an appearance in She-Hulk.
Oh, it's Scar, or
Hmm.
Scar is his name. There's like
Scar, yeah,
there's some ship or something that's in the trailers. It's like an alien ship,
yeah,
and everyone's kind of suspecting that that's tied to World War Hulk or something. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it makes sense. Like, what do you do with his character? Well, you have him train a new Hulk, and the next thing is
yeah.
okay, yeah, you give him a son,
And
like you know.
sure. And it seems like with kind of the routes Disney has been going, I could see them doing this is where they're going to build up all this story within the series and then they'll release this film again that's tied in with series, but they'll have to like make it work for the people that don't subscribe and are going to be lost on
Yeah.
context.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I mean, again, I'm here for all of it. It does feel like, and She-Hulk's what, this week, I think, right? So
Wednesday, yes.
yeah, I'm optimistic. I mean, it's got
Yeah.
Daredevil in it, so I'm automatically
Early reviewers got the first 4 episodes.
wow, okay. I have a feeling Daredevil won't be in until like the end or something. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
I
I was
hope not.
wondering if I'm not expecting to see Daredevil in episode 1. I feel like that would be way too early. Maybe a clue of like Nelson and Murdoch. Maybe there'll be some kind of like a sign or something just to show that yes, these people are within this world.
Question: do you think we'll see Charlie Cox before we see Daredevil?
No, I think it'll be reversed. I think we'll see Daredevil first and then Charlie Cox later.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm curious.
I feel like we'll see Daredevil first, and then near the end we'll have like moments within the courtroom, and then Charlie Cox will just show up.
Okay, I'm curious. Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering how they'll dolly out that information to She-Hulk if she knows or doesn't know. Okay, let's move over to DC. So Gal Gadot is expected to appear in multiple DC projects moving forward. It's, who knows? It's, again, we're just going to kind of give some the current news here. Who the fuck knows, first of all, and all this stuff, because right now it's a bomb over there, and there's multiple websites reporting multiple things, and no one really has the true answer. Now, we had conflicting reports over the last week that Henry Cavill is going to return to Superman first. We were told that they've been reaching out, and he said he wasn't interested, and then it come back said no, that he was interested, that they... So who knows? Again, we're getting different reports from different websites here.
I'm now seeing reports of could be in line for Bond.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a big rumor for a long time. Yeah. It's very possible. He's still young enough, obviously, to do it. It just depends on what kind of Bond... I don't know. I don't know who I want to be Bond. I really don't know. Did you like No Time to Die? Really quick.
It was fine. I think in the way the Bond world works, it was predictable. It was very predictable, and it kind of frustrated me, and to kind of see how things were going to go. And it's just more, I don't know if I agree with this whole like, let's just take this bucket of Bond films and actually make it end versus just this never-ending like continuation, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
because it's like, what do you do now? Like, I mean, they kind of just. It's just like this weird open world where it's just like, well, let's just go recreate the stories we just recreated, and it's just like,
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, what do you do? Do you do an origin story again? Do you just kind of do another adventure? It's hard. It's a hard one. I mean, Daniel Craig is a pretty great Bond. Whether he was never a bad part in the movies. Yeah. And he had some great ones. He had Casino Royale. He had Skyfall, and that's kind of it, I guess. I mean, I like No Time to Die. I did.
There's so much of it I love, and it's one I will definitely revisit. But also, like, I think Rami Malek was way underutilized.
100%.
I was not a fan of his. I like the concept of his villain. I wish there was so much more that could have been done there.
I don't know how I feel about killing James Bond. I mean, personally, I just don't know how I feel about that. It was emotional and everything else. I'm not sure I like the idea of how they did it. Also,
yeah,
it felt very almost like on the nose and kind of like
very much.
I don't know. It was like almost a slap to like who James Bond is. Of course, you can't touch anybody anymore because you're James Bond. You're a male that touches people, and I don't know. It just kind of felt kind of weird.
All the writing changes that movie went through, and you could definitely feel the tone of certain things. Like,
yeah, for sure,
getting a little too heavy on some stuff, but
it does. But anyway, another thing is Suicide Squad's Idris Elba, who also has been in the talks for Bond for a long time, at least in the circle.
That's what I want. I want him as Bond.
That'd be cool. I'd be in for it. He's a little older now, but I mean, give me an old Bond. Sure. Says he has a really big thing cooking for DC right now. What is that? Is that a TV show? Is it a Peacemaker Bloodsport TV show? Is he going to be in Peacemaker? I doubt it's that. Is it going to be Suicide Squad 2?
I saw this, and this is where things get just kind of messy and confusing with all the changes that DC is going through. It's like,
I agree.
how can you promote this stuff to get? It's hard to get people excited. It's hard for me to get excited over this when you're with all this other stuff going on.
I think you're right in the fact that I doubt he's the first person that's called whenever they're going to cancel the show. I think that if all this stuff's happening and they are going to cancel it, he'll be one of the last people to know, unless he's producing it, which I doubt he is. So yeah. I think you're right. I think he's talking based on probably conversations he had 3 months ago before Zaslav come on.
Before that, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think you're right. It's hard, right? And it's also weird, what they're picking and choosing, and it feels like, well, we'll get to that in a second, I guess, but yeah. I agree with you. Ezra Miller has now been charged with a felony for burglary. I can't speak. In Vermont. So he finally has been charged with a felony. Not sure if this is based on one of the other things he's done or what. There's also some child services stuff involved, DHS, based on a mom and I think a child. It's honestly, it's like mudding together. There's so much happening all the time with him. I don't really know. I can't keep it straight anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
But
and some of the things that he's gone through have been, some of it's so similar. Like you need a calendar, you need a timeline.
You really do. You need an MCU timeline for Ezra Miller. That's what you need. You need Kevin Feige to walk out with a big thing and click it and just see what Ezra's been up to. That's what you need.
So here's the confusion. Yes, these are similar, but they're different in this way because he did this then, but then he did this, which people thought was this, and it's like, but no, he actually did this.
We've been covering this boy a lot since 241 Joe started, and I'm kind of ready. Again, I was ready 3 stories ago to stop talking about him. But here's Warner Brothers' 3 options that kind of, I'm not sure if this got leaked and they're trying to gauge audience interest, or someone made this up. This has been everywhere. Here's the 3 options. 1, Miller seeks help with a tell-all interview afterward, and explaining. He goes by they, them, their behavior. Movie would release but not participate in the marketing. I think it feels kind of gross already, to me, hey, if you get help, it's like they already have an exit strategy. Hey, you get help, and then you have to do an interview. They're telling him he needs to do this for the sake of the movie, not this is something that, I feel like when you give an interview, it's something that the person who has participated in the behavior needs to make that kind of decision, because then it's more authentic. It's not authentic when a studio or a business is like, hey, you have to do an interview now to fix your shit. It's optics,
Yeah.
So to me, that feels gross a little bit.
Same. Agree.
And also, I don't know how you can interview that can explain all this stuff. I mean, you've seen the Flash trailer. When he introduces it, he's always in the beginning of it, and he's like, hey, sorry, we don't have any footage to show you. We don't have a teaser. We don't have anything. And it's like the weirdest fucking thing ever. And he's like, also, me and my maestro Andy made this for you, and you'll see me. I'll see you in theaters, or more importantly, you'll see me in theaters next year. And I'm like, why do they even add that on there? They should have cut that off and been like, we'll just show the trailer because this guy's fucking crazy.
Yeah, right.
Who would get behind that attitude of it's just so weird. I don't get it. I don't know. Anyway, that's number 1. Number 2 is the movie could still be released, and they'll announce that there'll be a recasting at the end of it. There's even talks right now that they're gonna maybe redo the ending again. We've been talking about that for a while, which is interesting because number 2 doesn't seem that much different from number 1, other than there's not an interview, there's no help involved. But it sounds like number 1 could have the ability that if he does this interview, if he does do the tell-all and gets help, some type of therapy or something, that he could still remain the Flash, which is just, you can't. There's no fucking way he can ever be the Flash ever. He can be anything after this. What studio would ever want to gamble? Because, even if let's say he gets help, he really understands what he's done wrong and he has done some bad things or whatever. Let's say those things happen. People have relapses, and people may make choices, and just because you get help once doesn't mean that you're good for the rest of your life. He's a liability at this point on a business standpoint. He's a liability.
Yeah.
Number three is that the movie be scrapped altogether. It's the last resort. Apparently, in the midst of all this stuff happening, all these reports, and Warner Brothers being completely silent, apparently reshoots did take place over the summer, and which is kind of wild. So it's like, is that why they were not talking? Because they were like, well, we need to reshoot the movie, and so we're gonna hide it. I don't know. It's
so
wild.
I thought reshoots were happening currently. I thought they were actively.
Well, we are in the summer, but I mean, I don't know if it's right now or if it's what I don't know, but it sounded like it happened not too long ago, from what I understand.
I thought they were like reworking the third act, and a lot of that was putting more of Ben Affleck in the film. But they haven't really specified. Like, I think it's one of these things. It's like, are they just? Because I know there's a couple of things going on. One, it was like, we're just going to gut Keaton. Keaton's no longer going to be part of this whole world. Ben Affleck is going to be the Batman of this kind of world, and they're putting more of him in it. But they could be potentially. Are they going to do the recasting thing already? And they're not just saying it.
Well, I'll say this: if you're smart and you're a film studio, and typically they are when it comes to money, typically,
Yeah.
If you have Ben Affleck on the set of Aquaman 2, he's not just there to shoot Aquaman 2. He might be shooting that for a day with Jason Momoa, but he's on the lot. He's already dressed up as Bruce Wayne. He's got the outfit. He's got the hair. He's in his whatever shape he's in. You just have him go over to the next lot, and you start reshooting the Flash. That's if you need those kind of scenes. Like you book him, for like a couple weeks at a time. You don't just have him come in for that. Have him off for a couple weeks and come back shoot the Flash. You don't do that. So I think that 100% they could be reworking the ending where here's nothing too. One of the reports, again, we don't know shit, but one of the reports that come out before all this stuff was that even though like Michael Keaton is in the Flash universe, or in our Prime timeline, right, in Earth Prime or Prime 1 or whatever, that the movie ends with Ben Affleck like coming on a computer screen being like, Barry, we're all lost. Like we're come find us kind of thing. Like they're still around, but they're like, it kind of almost like teeing up a Crisis on Infinite Earth thing, which we're getting to in a second. But it's like, so I don't know. I mean, like, again, part of me, I hate this bullshit drama stuff, first of all. But the second thing is, I do, even though it could have been a mess, I don't know, but I do want to get the original versions of these movies. I want to get Batgirl. I wanted to see Michael Keaton, even though, it's not what I would have done. I wouldn't have recast Michael Keaton into the DC universe. Like, I think we should have just got him in the Flash and maybe a Crisis movie down the line and called it. But now that they did it, I'm like, well, I want to see it because you did it. And you know what I'm saying? Like, isn't that weird? Like, it's like
someone will leak it out eventually.
It's like someone making a cake in front of you for like 2 years, and they're like, it's going to be great. And then you're like, I don't know if it's going to be great, but like, I'm going to try it anyway. And then they're like, right before you taste it, they're like, actually, no, you can't have the cake. You're like, God damn it. 2 years I've been waiting for this fucking cake,
Right.
So it's like, and now you want to taste it worse. Like, well, did you fuck it up? Was it too good? Like, what was it, So anyway, I don't know, man. It's kind of wild.
It's very wild.
Of these three options, which one do you think is the best? Which one do you think you would do?
I mean, honestly, I think it needs to be a combination of 1 and 2. I think I would still love to. I'm with you. I think, as much as they've promoted this thing, they should definitely release it. But I think they need to release it in the best way for the business as a whole, which basically means they need to go in and set it up to be recast. Ezra Miller will be a part of the movie, but it just kind of needs to be known, like, he needs to come all clean of like what's been going on. They release the film, and it sets it up in a proper way to keep fans excited about the future of DC.
I would love it if he come out of the time travel, like whatever the what's the thing you run on, that treadmill, the Speed Force treadmill, whatever it's called. And I can't think of the name of it, but he comes out and he looks different. He's like, "What the fuck?" I would love that. Like, I would please do that. It'd be fucking phenomenal. I mean, I want them to release it. I want them to recast him. Obviously, like, I wanted them to recast him before, when it was announced he was cast as the Flash. I was like, that's horrible casting. And then they need to do it in a big bad way. Again, I didn't hate him in Zack's version of Justice League. I was like, oh, this actually It's much better than the Justice League
It was
version.
definitely much better, and there was some really cool, fun moments.
Yeah, I actually
You
like him
know,
saving Iris, and I like that.
yeah, yeah,
Zazie Beetz is in talks to return in Joker 2, which is interesting because it was kind of always implied or speculation that she dies in the first one. So maybe
hmm
she comes back as a hallucination. I mean, we don't know. Again, the first
yeah.
movie, it feels like it's it's his perspective of events, right? So we don't really know what's real and what's not real.
Right.
It's been compared to A Star Is Born, which makes sense because Lady Gaga's in it with
hmm
complicated musical sequences. Yeah, I mean, not much to say about that, but I'm
I'm
excited. Give it to me.
very excited. I'm on board.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Constantine reboot by J.J. Abrams is still moving ahead. Apparently, it's on solid ground and moving along. Apparently, Zaslav is a fan of J.J., which is interesting because Abrams,
Mm.
misspelled Abrams. I put Abrahams. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because they did this huge deal with Bad Robot a couple years ago, and
Yeah,
they've produced literally nothing since then. I get the
yeah.
pandemic was happening, but it's been like nothing, and it feels like also that Superman movie has been next. That was the Black
hmm
Superman. It feels, we don't know this stuff yet, but so it's weird that again, this is what's weird is like I'm basically done the list here, and we'll rapid fire these for run out of time. But it's
hmm
like these projects are. It's so weird to me, like what they're like keeping and not keeping. Like they're going to keep
hmm
the Black Canary movie over the Batgirl movie they just shot. Like anyway, so Green Lantern. Apparently, I was like, okay, they're going to kill that. They're going to make it into a movie because the whole like mandate felt like DC
hmm
belongs in theatrical releases. We're not going to do these expensive TV shows. And now we're getting. It may not come out until 2024, but it's very much alive. That's what we're getting now. So it's like, okay, it's different than what we were told. Black Canary movie also still in active development. It's like, okay, but Black Canary, like no one who's asking for that. I know we had her in Birds of Prey,
Yeah,
she was fine, whatever.
yeah.
The Black Canary also is tied to Green Arrow, and it's like Green Arrow's a much bigger hero, and it's also like, why are we? I don't know. It's weird. It's like, why are we keeping that movie and not the other one? Also,
But it's like, are they utilizing these to introduce the big characters? You know, and this is kind of going down like a
possibly.
Marvel-esque approach. You know, they're just kind of going to take that approach of like, let's release these, but
It's very possible, but that's just it's the exact opposite of what we heard last week and the week before
it
that.
is, yeah,
It's
yeah.
exact. I mean, like again, Black Canary is and Constantine are nowhere near as big as Batgirl. Nowhere near. And I'm not saying Batgirl's huge, but she is so much bigger than them.
Yeah.
Previous DC plans for before merger with Discovery and Walter Hamada, who's kind of shepherded these last 4 or 5 movies, basically from Justice League on. Apparently, he's super pissed. He didn't know about the cancellation of Batgirl to the last second. We heard that like last week, but he may or may not stay on. It kind of depends on
Mm.
whatever. But we knew this last week, but it's even more confirmed a little bit that he will stay on at least till Black Adam releases. Kind of shepherding that, the market and everything.
hmm
Apparently, there's a Secret Six movie being made, which I'm not very familiar with. But also, I guess they're rivals to the Suicide Squad, which I mean, that's fine. It's but it feels like we're getting more of a Suicide Squad villain universe than we are a DC universe.
Right.
I mean, we're getting Joker. We had Birds of Prey, and we got Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad 2. We're getting a Black Canary movie. We got a Peacemaker show, and then we're going to get a Secret Six movie. And it's just like, how about you make the fucking like the Trinity, make them good first. Like make a good Batman. The Batman, which we'll get into in a second, is, it's a good movie, right, overall, but
hmm
like it's not in the universe. Like we don't have a good
Right.
Batman in the universe. We don't have a good Wonder Woman. Her last movie just literally just like a bad fucking bottle rocket. It just went. It was bad.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
we haven't had a Superman movie since like fucking 2011 or 12.
I know that's
10 years.
we need a Man of Steel 2. Come on.
Yeah, again, it needs to be called Man of Tomorrow. It's
Yeah.
perfect. It's hopeful. It keeps the name convention from the first one. It's fucking brilliant. Okay,
Yeah.
so also apparently we're gonna get a Crisis movie, which is we always expected that. Crisis on
hmm
Infinite Earth is the big crossover. It's considered the big first crossover of all time in comics, and it kind of started that whole trend of multiverse and
hmm
everything else. But once again, Marvel's going to beat them to the punch. They've been doing multiverse stuff for the last 2-3 years now, and we've just found out a couple weeks ago we're getting Secret Wars. Blah 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 blah. Again, I mean, that's another opportunity where you bring in, somehow you digitally bring him in, but Christopher Reeve Superman, you bring in George Reeves Superman, you bring in, Brandon Routh, you bring in Henry Cavill, you bring in even like Dean Cain. Maybe I'm not sure people want him anymore because of his political stuff, but bring in Tom Welling, you bring in fucking Adam West Batman, Christian Bale Batman. I mean, that's where you do it. Is that movie just like we're getting Secret Wars? Like hopefully we'll also get that version too, with like Toby and Chris Evans and all them.
Yeah.
But that's the place where you do that, and it's also the best place to reboot your universe.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just it seems like that's been next now, which I mean, I think that's still on the table. Like I think people are kind of talking online like this right here is off now. I'm like, no, that's always the end game for DC. Like that's one of the always big end games. No matter what they do, their next plan, naturally, if they get through Darkseid, whatever, it's fine. They will always, all roads lead to that. Always, they will never not do that. As long as we survive for 50 years, we will see that movie before we die. I guarantee it. I say that.
Write it.
Yeah, I say that. I don't know. But here's another one that's kind of blew my mind a little bit. It says Batman sequel still hasn't been greenlit as of right now. But they announced it at the
It's a little confusing because I thought
at the con.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it hasn't been officially greenlit, but they announced it with Matt Reeves and we talked about it on here with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson coming back. But that doesn't mean I guess this is the report. This is the report. Like it's been like widely reported that it hasn't, even though they've announced that they're working on it, it hasn't been officially greenlit yet. Which is kind of interesting. It's kind of like, okay, I mean, surely, it's the first movie in the series. It made $850 million. It got rave reviews. Whether I like the ending or not, it got rave reviews, and it did. And I watched it again like 2 weekends ago. I've seen it like 6 times now. It's a fucking 3-hour movie. So I don't know. I don't fucking know what's happening. I feel like I have a good idea most of the time, but I don't know. And also I don't know their plan. I would love, they need that DC fandom, if they do one this year, they haven't really announced anything this year, which is weird because we're supposed to be getting, I feel like last year was kind of
Marvel's already hyping up D23. That's all I saw yesterday. Everything they're going to announce.
100%. And I get the feeling that last year was kind of not as big as the first year, and so they kind of scared them, and maybe it cost them too much money or something, and they're like, we're not going to do it this year. I'm like, man, that would suck to do it for 2 years and then just be gone. Like they really need. They need to come out and like they'd be like, hey, here's our plan. Here's what's in active development as of right now. Like I get they've been doing this for like 10 years now and they keep fucking it up. They're like, here's the 10 movies we're working on and none of them come out. I get that fear. But also it's okay to change the plan. Marvel does come out every few years and say, here's the movies coming out, and they change stuff. That's okay. Like it's okay to change your mind. I think it's not okay when we're sitting here reading all these news reports every week and we have no idea the state of the universe. It's also their fucking properties. They can do whatever they want. It's not our responsibility to know everything. But in this climate, when you're competing with Marvel, it kind of behooves you as a studio to kind of lay out some of our plans and expectations and everything else. As the consumer, I think it's good to kind of keep us in the loop too a little bit.
Yeah. Real quick, do you happen to know Dan Murrell? Okay,
I don't think
he's an Arkansas YouTuber. I'm not sure where he's based. I wanted to say Little Rock, but I'm probably wrong. Anyway, he put out his most recent video is if I ran DC, here's what I'd do. I haven't watched it yet, but it's on. I was gonna check it out and hear what his thoughts are. But
I've got thoughts on how to run DC. Hell, I got thoughts on how to run Marvel. So I get it. Well, real quick,
do that video
to tie. I could. I got ideas, people. Zaslav called me up. I'm really fucking cheap, I promise. Greg Berlanti, this is our big story of the week, but we're not going to say this too long just because we're running out of time. Greg Berlanti, to be DC's Kevin Feige. That's the thing is, if we're hearing this now, this is probably in the talks 6 months ago. Arrowverse feels like it's finally wind down. He did do a good job in terms of balancing all those shows, bringing schedules together, characters together. Whether you like those shows or not, they definitely, I enjoy them for the whole of the parts rather than the sum of the parts, right? So, um, not some, the whatever
Mm.
individual parts. I did the opposite of what I just said. Arrow ended, Flash is ending. We're getting the final season here pretty soon. Legends Tomorrow's been canceled. Batwoman's been canceled. Black Lightning's been canceled. Superman and Lois is not in the Arrowverse timeline. Um, it feels like we're going to get. Also, he could be in the Superman movie as well. And they also did a Crisis on Infinite Earth already in the TV show, and they brought in all these different versions. They brought Brandon Routh in. He was already in Legends of Tomorrow as the Atom, but they brought him back as Superman and everything else. So they got Kevin Conroy as Batman. I mean, they did all kinds of cool stuff. So I think, can you imagine having Mark Hamill be the Joker in a Crisis movie?
That would be incredible.
Yeah, that just blow your fucking mind. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
All for it. Let's make this happen.
let's do it. So anyway, yeah, it's very possible. The thing is, we don't know until it happens. I do wonder the quality of. Again, the quality of the CW shows aren't to the same standard as the quality of these movies, but at the same time, there's a lot of. You're stretching 20-something episodes versus a 2-hour movie, so you would think that it correlates in some way there. I think it'd be fine. I think if he'd be a good choice. I think I'd be a good choice too. But whatever, Zaslav, pick your fucking Berlanti. Spawn. I've been on a Spawn kick again lately. Every few years I reignite my Spawn love. Spawn star Jamie Foxx talks about the reboot. He says, "I talked to Todd and we want to craft something that is so special because I remember seeing the first Spawn movies and then seeing the HBO versions, and so we have something that is almost like an original without giving too much away, but it starts in a way that is so cool, and it's not big budget, and that's what I love about it." He went on to kind of compare it to Joker and how it's rated R, and it's a little different. You a Spawn fan, Luke?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool. You like the original movie with Michael Jai White?
I revisit it from time to time.
Yeah,
and that's like an early moment. Like I went and saw that in movie theater. And
really, that's cool. See, I've been buying Spawn comics again the last month or so, and going deep diving back into Spawn. And I've got the first issue. It's always been a big spot in my heart. I just think there's a lot of opportunity with the property, and I would love to see a good movie. Also, if you've been following this development hell for this movie the last 5-6 years or longer, Todd McFarlane's been really holding it up and wanting to direct it and write it. Finally, he kind of conceived a little bit with Blumhouse, Jason Blum, and someone's rewriting it now. But I just don't think Todd has the chops to direct. Personally, Todd's not a very good story writer either. He's a great artist, but he's not a good storyteller. And so I'm kind of worried about. I'm glad they got a writer to come in and kind of touch up the script. Yeah. But we had Jamie Foxx attached as actual Spawn, Al Simmons, and then of course we had Jeremy Renner attached as Twitch. From Sam and Twitch, the cop pair in the show. I just watched for the first time season 1 of the Spawn on HBO Max. The show that was in the 90s that got like Emmys and stuff, and it's really awesome. It's really good. So if you like Spawn, go check that out. And give me Spawn, dude. I also, it's another thing I would love to direct, and I would fun with the fucking mouth to do it. Really would. Sonic 3 slated for Xmas 2024 release. Same time as Avatar 3, totally fine, different demographics, I think. Yep. And I just got Sonic 2 Steelbook. It's pretty fucking awesome. So if you haven't grabbed it and you can get one, go grab one. Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie has 3 different projects in the works. One of them is a new action thriller franchise after Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2. Another one is an original song and dance themed musical. And the other one is a Les Grossman project from Tropic Thunder. We don't know if these are movies or if these are just, or whatever these are. But apparently Christopher McQuarrie's going to be writing and directing some of these, and Tom is producing them, like you said before. So this man is not slowing down. He's like going back and revisiting. Everyone's been asking for Les Grossman for years, and I'm so glad we're going to get that because he was like a standout character in that movie. He did do Rock of Ages with Alec Baldwin and a few others in the musical version of the movie, and so it seemed like he'd like that enough to do another thing. So it's also interesting. McQuarrie's kind of just doing different genres, and he's also been a script doctor for a lot in Hollywood before he kind of become this action director. So it's interesting.
Sure.
What
I gotta look. I don't know much about McQuarrie. I'm in the probably the one of three people that has never seen Tropic Thunder. So yeah,
Dude, you gotta watch it.
I know I gotta
It's
watch it.
it's
I
fun,
know.
dude. I mean, it couldn't come out today, but man, oh man, would it?
Yeah.
I when I saw that, I loved it just because it's a fun filmmaker movie,
Mm.
and there's so many characters and like actors, and it's pretty wild. Just
Yeah.
the
What I've
opening
heard.
opening alone, the first 10 minutes is incredible, just for the fact it's got fake trailers in the beginning, and
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. and Tobey Maguire. And it's incredible, dude. You gotta watch it. I
I
watched
know
the
I need
opening
to.
like a couple weeks back. Actually, YouTube served me the whole movie. It was like without ads or something. Like, hey, here's Tropic
Yeah.
Thunder on YouTube. I'm like, oh okay. And I started watching it. I was like, damn, this movie's fun. Um, are you a Walking Dead guy? You watching Walking Dead?
I am. Oh, I am a Walking Dead. I fell off of it once, and what's really crazy. It's like shortly after they brought Negan into the fold. It was around that time I kind of just started falling off, and
Same here.
then decided, you know what, I'm just going to revisit this. And this was closer to the beginning of the year, and just started from the beginning and worked through. And man, it's still a solid show. It holds up strong, and even the new season, I've been enjoying it. So the spin-offs, no, don't need the spin-offs. Just keep to
We
the core story.
so we have Fear the Walking Dead, and there's
Yeah.
another one. There's another one, right?
So I think Tales of the Walking Dead just
That's right.
started. I did try to get into Fear the Walking Dead, and it just couldn't keep my attention. I fell off on that like season 2 or 3 or something like that, and just never continued on.
It's pretty good.
Now I do know there is. I know they're wanting to do a spinoff with Daryl. There's also an announcement of another spinoff where they're bringing Rick back. It's gonna be Rick and Michonne.
Well, originally it was going to be 3 movies with Rick, and they just re-announced that they're
Yeah.
actually doing a TV show instead with Rick and Michonne.
Yeah.
And I guess they're like, I didn't know this, but I guess they fell in love with each other in the show,
Hmm.
and they had a thing, so it's kind of like them hooking back up, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, I put this on here for you because I watched the first 3 seasons or 4 seasons, and I mean, and then I stopped and I come back when Negan appeared in his first episode. I
Hmm.
watched that and I stopped watching it, and I just for me, my big problem with the show is that it's just the same thing over and over and over again, and I just
Yeah.
like it was always. I mean, that's always the case in zombie stuff. It's not about the zombies; it's about the human part of it,
Yeah.
and they're just cannon fodder. But like it was just like, okay, we're a group, we're gonna fight some people that are bad, we're gonna lose some people, we're gonna fight some more
Hmm.
people, and I cared about how they're gonna end the zombie apocalypse, how they're gonna get out of the situation, not can they
Yeah.
survive. And
Yeah.
I don't know if we were ever gonna get that, so I stopped watching it.
Yeah.
But
feel
I
like
put this
we'll,
on here for
we
you.
yeah, and I did, and that's the other hard thing about this series is like how it has strayed away from like the comics itself, and
Well,
I
even
know
that's how
how
the
it.
comics are too, though. I mean, the comics are very similar in the fact that it's the same thing over. I mean, I'm sure it's different,
Yeah,
but
it is, but I mean, I do know how it ends in the comics.
I do too.
And
Yeah,
just very curious to see what they're going to do with the series. And
yeah. I mean,
get there.
it's literally it's night and day difference between
Yeah.
the comic and. I mean, your 2 main characters are not even around that involved in the last issue. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, real quick, what a banger way to do that. I was working at Collision Hub whenever they had like fake covers for the next because comic book stores have to like solicit them and like have to basically order them ahead of time, and they had fake covers and like fake issues, and even the comic book stores didn't know it was ending. And like when it come out, she's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is the last issue," and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And everyone just started going buying it. Those other solicitations were fake, and like the comic stores were kind of pissed about it because that was money that they were anticipating for the next month. But anyway, what a banger way to fucking end it all. But
Yeah.
real quick, this is about Daryl spinoff. Apparently, Daryl is a fish out of water to start with. If Daryl finds himself with new people, he's a fish out of water. Apparently, it takes place in France. This new version, and it's going to a different country, entirely different thing, different atmosphere. He's someone that Daryl's been a fan favorite from the beginning, and I get it. He wants to keep making money, and
Yeah, of
I'm
course. And that's what's so wild is like, this was a TV original character, not in the books.
Right.
And any people that I come across that are talking about the show, it's always the same thing. If they kill off Daryl, I'm done. I'm never watching the show again.
Yeah.
Same line, word for word. And I'm just like,
See, I was
okay,
always a Rick boy. I always liked Rick because
yeah,
I'm a sucker for caring about the character we start out with. No matter even like in Lost, where
yeah,
some people really they don't like Jack because of
mm-hmm.
like he's more simple. He's
Mm-hmm.
or not simple, but like his trajectory is a little more easier and not as complicated. But like I like Jack the most because that's who we start out with. We open with Jack, and so I
Same.
immediately pair with whoever we start the show
Mm-hmm.
off with. So Rick was
Yeah,
always my boy, just automatically.
yeah.
Rick was my boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need to watch it, and then you need to tell me about it. So Sandman is Netflix's top show in 89 countries after spending 7 consecutive days in first place. I've watched the whole show. I can't wait for season 2. They haven't announced it yet. Me and Daniel are, I believe, doing a podcast on it next week. We got kind of our schedule messed up a little bit, but I'm excited. I mean, have you watched any Sandman yet?
I've watched the first episode.
Okay. You liking it?
I don't know if it's for me.
It's different. Like it's very
It's
different.
very, very different. I think I had, I don't know, like my struggles with it are I don't know the main character. I'm not really invested in him.
Sure.
You're getting a lot of newer actors and actresses in this. I mean, there's some definitely like known people, and it's fun to see them, but it's also just how it's shot. It has this certain look and feel. It's bubbly, and I don't know. Like it was hard to keep my attention. And
Really? I mean,
yeah. I've heard there's
think
some really great episodes though. Like I've seen people talk about certain episodes and just saying like how great it is, and it's maybe I'll go back and
here's my pitch for you, Luke.
okay.
The comic book, it's god tier in terms of like, recognition and everything else. And I've just knowing the premise, the art style, it is something that has never interested me ever. I've never read a single word from the comic book. I'd never cared to. But watching the show, it's just so interesting, the world, how they do the storytelling, and I don't know, I really liked it. It just kind of always kind of kept my attention, just in terms of also the scale of it, the feel of it, and there's gobbledygook involved in terms of like how things work, and like like it gets pretty out there and like ethereal and abstract in a lot of ways. But I really liked it, and it was compelling enough to me to kind of keep going.
And maybe I'm off. Like I don't know. Like just I don't know if I use the right word. It's just it's almost like watching the show. There was moments in it. It's almost like if you're looking through a globe. Everything just had this rounded feel to it.
Sure.
Just in moments where it didn't really make sense, and I don't know. Yeah, it was.
You may not like it, and that's fine. I just, for me, I was a non-believer, and I'm like, okay, I'm actually in now. I'm excited for. I want to see this thing progress until its inevitable end. So I'm hoping that, surely with its, but I brought this up. Surely with its success in all these countries, that they're going to make a season 2, and hopefully they'll ride it out until the show's ending. You know, so I think they will.
I am on the very last episode of Severance. So I may go back and work through Sandman once I'm done with Severance.
I like Severance a lot, like a lot of people did. I just finished it a couple weeks back, so I've been watching a lot of TV lately, boy. I've been burning through it, honestly.
Are you a fan of Industry? You watching Industry?
I haven't seen it yet. No, I don't even know what it is.
It's HBO Max series. It follows this girl from like the States who goes just over in Europe to work for this big bank company, basically just stock trading, and it just kind of basically follows this group of recent grads who are trying to get these positions, and just the whole like ins and out dynamics of what it's like building relationships with people, like handling money. It's a kind of a stressful show. It does get on the borders of like Euphoria in terms of just like some of its nature. I think it kind of goes beyond what Euphoria did. So it can be potentially a tough watch for some, or some may just be put off by it. But
interesting. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
I know when I get through Better Call Saul tomorrow night, I want to like have a small mental break for one. But then She-Hulk and we're that's kind of my next thing is She-Hulk, and I've watched all of Severance, I've watched all of Succession. I need to finish Hacks on HBO Max. I mean, I've kind of get to a place where well, then House of the Dragon is starting up pretty soon. My interest is like low level,
very low
tier,
on that.
but
Extremely.
like I'm going to watch it because Kimley's also a fan of Game of Thrones, and it gives us something to watch together.
There you go.
Which doesn't happen often. So I'm take what I get. So real quick, the Blu-ray releases coming out tomorrow. First of all, we have Jurassic World Dominion, of course. There's a steelbook version of that for Best Buy, and we also have the Jurassic World 6-movie collection, the Ultimate Collection. Get that as well if you're a big fan of the franchise. And then we have Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar. I thought we talked about this movie earlier.
I thought that already released.
I did too, but I mean, like I looked on the thing and said it was coming out, and I was like, I'm pretty sure this already fucking released, but that's what it said. It said it was coming out. So, but here's our re-releases tomorrow. We have Child's Play from 1988, and we have its Blu-ray, its Best Buy Steelbook, and we also have Child's Play 2 and 3, and then a Child's Play 1 through 3 collection. These are like not Shout Factory, I don't think, but they're like collector's editions coming out for these 3 movies. And then we have Red Dawn from 1984. It's Best Buy Steelbook. We have Heavy Metal from 81, and then we have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade from 1989.
Awesome.
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
may pick up that Jurassic World Ultimate Collection.
I need to look at how big the box is, because if the box is like, I hate the big fucking abnormal size boxes. Like those kind of piss me off. And I think, don't quote me, but I think it's got like fucking blue on the cover or something, which I fucking hate. No, it's got the thing. So no, it's a regular collection. So
okay,
maybe I got to pick this up.
Yeah, I do enjoy like the Jurassic Park films.
Yeah,
but my kids aren't really into dinosaurs, and we did finish the Camp Cretaceous series.
I hear it's pretty good, actually.
Dude, that compared to Dominion, so much better.
Really,
so much depth. Like it just makes Dominion that much worse because there's so many missed opportunities.
Maybe I have to buy this collection tomorrow. I remember when I had Noah, he really liked it, and so I may have to watch it. Yeah, so that's our movies for the week coming out tomorrow. Indiana Jones next year, baby. Number 1 movie of the year, hopefully. That's.
I hope so.
We have to survive to see Indiana Jones. That's our objective in life right now. All right, Luke, thank you so much for hopping on 2-for-1 Joe Live. I'll see you again next week. Yeah, everyone, thank you for watching. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button and notification bell that we're up to on all future episodes of 2-for-1 Joe Live, as well as the podcast 2-for-1 Joe, podcast 2-for-1 on all podcast services. I see that you have not been commenting on our show today. What's wrong with you? That's okay. There's always next time. And yeah, everyone, thank you so much. Luke, how can our listeners find you on the cool things you do?
Yeah, definitely check out Agents of Mace podcast. Search for Agents of Mace or Marvel's Ace content enthusiasts. Yeah, we're talking all things Marvel. We'll be diving into She-Hulk this week, so we're really excited to do that. And it's the best place to find me right now.
That's awesome. And also, of course, let's thank Mr. Greg Berlanti for joining us. He has been smiling the entire time. He's a trooper. So thank you, Mr. Berlanti, and we hope that you don't fuck up the DC universe like everyone else has. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week, and see you.